On our anniversary, she threw my gift in the garbage. I don't want homemade trash. I didn't argue, I simply pulled it back out from the bin. The next day, she discovered it sitting in a gallery window with a $10,000 price tag. I watched as she tossed 3 months of labor into the kitchen trash can. The wooden box struck the bottom with a solid thud. She brushed off her hands like she'd just thrown away actual garbage and left the room. My name is Ethan, I'm 37, I do specialized woodworking, not furniture really, more like artistic pieces. Boxes, sculptures, decorative objects, takes patience, takes talent, doesn't make me wealthy but it covers expenses. Been doing this for 8 years now since I quit my office job, best choice I ever made. Been with Chelsea for 3 years, she's 34, works in real estate, earns good money. Better than me most months. She never allowed me to forget that detail either. Small remarks here and there about how she's the primary earner, how I mess around with wood while she does actual work. I ignored it because when things were good, they were truly good. But recently, more rough patches than smooth ones. Our anniversary was yesterday, 3 years together. I devoted the last 3 months creating her gift whenever I had spare time between paying clients. A jewelry box, not just any ordinary box. This piece was exceptional, walnut and maple inlay work, hand-carved elements, dovetail joints so precise you couldn't fit paper between them, hidden compartments, magnetic latches, the kind of piece that demands hundreds of hours stretched over months to perfect. I presented it to her over dinner at home, prepared her favorite meal, arranged candles, the complete setup. She unwrapped it and stared at it, just stared. No smile, no excitement, nothing. She asked what it was supposed to be. I explained it was a jewelry box for her collection. She owned plenty of jewelry, expensive pieces. I figured she'd value something handcrafted to keep it in, something meaningful. She placed it back on the table and mentioned she thought I was buying her the bracelet she'd pointed out last month. The one from Tiffany. $4,000, I explained I couldn't manage that right now. Work had been slower than normal. She grabbed the box again, examined it in her hands like she was inspecting a damaged item and stated she didn't want homemade trash. Then she got up, walked to the kitchen and tossed it in the garbage. I sat there for a moment, didn't shout, didn't protest, just sat there absorbing what had happened. 3 months of effort, hundreds of hours. In the trash because it wasn't from Tiffany, because it didn't carry a brand name. That revealed everything I needed to understand about how she viewed my work, how she viewed me. I stood up, walked to the kitchen and retrieved the box from the trash. It had some coffee grounds stuck on one corner. I cleaned it off. Chelsea was in the bedroom by that point. I could hear her talking on the phone with her friend Lindsay. Describing her disappointing anniversary. Laughing about the homemade trash her boyfriend attempted to pass off as a legitimate gift. I wrapped the box carefully in bubble wrap and loaded it in my truck. Returned inside. Chelsea was still on her call. I informed her I was heading out. She dismissed me with a wave without glancing my direction. I drove to Sullivan Gallery downtown. I'd been collaborating with Helen, the owner, for roughly 2 years, sold a few smaller works through her. She'd been requesting me to supply more inventory, but I typically concentrated on commissioned projects. Had a standard consignment contract with her already, 50-50 split, fair arrangement. Helen was locking up when I arrived. She noticed me at the entrance and let me in regardless. I unwrapped the box and placed it on her counter. She put on her reading glasses and lifted it up. Didn't speak for several minutes, just inspected every element, every joint, every piece of inlay. She opened it, discovered the hidden compartments, examined the magnetic latches. Eventually she looked at me and asked where I'd been concealing this caliber of work. I explained I'd been producing it all along. She just hadn't witnessed my finest pieces. This one was intended as a gift. Things didn't pan out. She asked if it was available for purchase. I confirmed it was now. She set it down gently and mentioned she needed to conduct some research, but her instinct suggested this was gallery caliber. Genuine gallery caliber. She'd handled comparable work previously. Understood the market could likely move it for $8,000 to $10,000 if she priced it appropriately, perhaps more to the correct collector. I must have appeared stunned because she clarified that this degree of craftsmanship was uncommon. The inlay work alone was museum caliber. She knew a few collectors who focused on fine woodwork. She wanted to photograph it professionally, get it assessed, and showcase it in the front window. Would require a few days to handle everything. I told her to do whatever was necessary. We processed the paperwork, revised our existing consignment contract for this particular piece. She'd manage insurance while it remained in her care. I'd receive half of whatever it sold for, standard arrangement. I drove home experiencing something I hadn't felt in months. Not rage, not sorrow, just understanding, like everything abruptly made sense. Chelsea was already sleeping when I returned, or acting like it, I didn't care which. I slept in the extra room. The following morning I woke early and headed to my workshop. Had a commission piece to complete for a customer. Chelsea departed for work without addressing me. I heard her vehicle leave around 8. Over the next couple days, Helen managed the documentation. Professional photographs, condition assessment, provenance records. She had an independent evaluator examine it. He validated her original estimation. Similar pieces had sold for between $8,000 and $12,000 at auction. She chose to list it at $10,500. On Thursday, 3 days after I delivered it, Helen called. The box was now featured in her front window, premium location, illuminated perfectly, price tag clearly displayed. She'd already received 2 genuine inquiries. One collector was returning Saturday to inspect it more thoroughly. I thanked her and returned to work. Didn't consider it much further until Friday afternoon when my phone started exploding. 8 missed calls from Chelsea, 15 messages. I scrolled through them. She'd spotted the box in the gallery window. Her office was merely 2 blocks from Sullivan Gallery. She must have passed it during lunch, identified it instantly. The unique inlay pattern was impossible to miss. She demanded to know what the hell it was doing there. Why was my garbage art being sold for over $10,000? This had to be some sort of error. I needed to contact her immediately. I didn't call, just sent one message back. Informed her the homemade trash discovered a better home, someone who genuinely valued craftsmanship. Then I silenced her notifications and completed my workday. She was waiting in the driveway when I arrived home, engine running. She exited as soon as I drove up. Her face was flushed. She began shouting before I even opened my door, insisted on knowing if that was truly my box in the gallery. If someone was genuinely going to pay $10,000 for it, I confirmed it might sell for that amount. Helen had interested purchasers. It was correctly appraised. Market value for that caliber of work. Chelsea's entire expression shifted from furious to something else. Strategic. She said we needed to discuss things, said perhaps she'd overreacted about the gift. It was genuinely beautiful. She could appreciate that now. She'd been stressed about work, took it out on me. She was apologetic. I asked if she was sorry she discarded it or sorry it was worth money. She started retreating, claimed that wasn't fair. She truly did feel terrible. And besides, since we'd been together 3 years, she should receive something from the sale, correct? We could use it for a vacation, or she could finally purchase that bracelet. I told her the money was mine, from my labor, my expertise, my time. I'd already determined what to do with it, pay off my truck, invest in superior equipment, save the remainder. None of it was going toward jewelry for someone who threw my work in the trash. That's when the genuine argument erupted. She called me spiteful, called me vengeful, said I was punishing her for one error, that I should have informed her the box was valuable. How was she expected to know? I clarified that value wasn't the issue. I didn't create it to sell. I created it for her because I loved her, because I wanted to give her something significant, something unique. She discarded it because it didn't originate from a store, because it didn't carry a brand label. That informed me everything I needed to comprehend about how she perceived my work, how she perceived me. She attempted a different strategy, started weeping, said she recognized she'd messed up. She wanted to repair things. We could resolve this. 3 years together signified something. She loved me. I asked her when she began loving me. Before or after she learned the trash was worth 10 grand, she departed, sped out of the driveway. I went inside and prepared dinner, ate by myself. It was tranquil. The following days were silent. Chelsea stayed at Lindsay's place, sent me a few messages about requiring space. Fine by me, provided me time to work and reflect. On Monday, Helen called. The collector from Saturday had submitted an offer, 10,000 even, cash transaction. He was genuine, had the capital ready. She suggested accepting. It was a reasonable price and the purchaser was credible, well-recognized collector in the woodworking art community. I instructed her to accept the offer. She processed the paperwork. The sale finalized on Wednesday. Wire transfer arrived Thursday morning. $5,000 in my account after the gallery split. I immediately settled the remaining $3,000 on my truck. Deposited $2,000 into a savings account for new workshop equipment. I'd been requiring a superior lathe for months. Thursday afternoon, Chelsea arrived at my house unexpectedly. Let herself in with her key. I was in the workshop when I heard the entrance. Came inside to discover her standing in the kitchen. She stated she'd been contemplating, maybe we needed to take a pause, truly assess what we both desired. She wasn't certain we were compatible anymore. I maintained my expression neutral, told her that was likely intelligent. She seemed surprised I agreed so readily. She questioned if I was even going to fight for the relationship. I asked her what precisely she wanted me to fight for. She said she wanted me to care, to demonstrate I was willing to work on things. I reminded her that I'd invested 3 months caring, invested hundreds of hours creating something unique for her. She threw it in the garbage and laughed about it to her friends. Now she wanted me to fight for the relationship. That ship sailed when the box struck the trash can. She became defensive, said I was never going to release that I was holding one error over her head eternally. I explained it wasn't about holding resentments. It was about seeing plainly for the first time. She valued things she could display, things with price tags and brand labels. I valued time and effort and significance. We desired fundamentally different things. She'd actually done me a service by demonstrating that so plainly. She collected a few more of her belongings and departed, informed me I'd regret this, that I was abandoning something good over my pride. I returned to work. The subsequent week brought developments I hadn't anticipated. The collector who purchased the box contacted Helen. He wanted to explore a potential commission, one custom piece, similar style to the jewelry box. Budget of $12,000. Was I interested? I was extremely interested. Helen arranged a meeting. The collector, his name was William, flew in from San Francisco 2 weeks later. We invested 3 hours discussing the commission, what he desired, my approach, timeline. He was informed about woodworking, asked intelligent questions, valued craftsmanship. We settled on terms, half up front, half upon completion, 6-month timeline. I had the deposit in my account within a week. This transformed everything. One commission led to visibility. Helen started promoting my work harder, assembled a proper portfolio, contacted other galleries. Within a month, I had interest from 2 additional galleries, one in Denver, one in Portland. Both wanted to display my pieces on consignment. Chelsea's friend Lindsay called me about 3 weeks after the separation, said Chelsea was struggling. She'd realized she made a massive mistake. She wanted to apologize properly. Could we meet for coffee? I told Lindsay that Chelsea had my number. If she wanted to apologize, she could contact me directly. Lindsay said Chelsea was embarrassed. She'd behaved badly and acknowledged it. She just needed an opportunity to make things right. I asked Lindsay a simple question. Would Chelsea be reaching out if the box had sold for $50 instead of $10,000? Lindsay went silent for a long moment. Then she admitted Chelsea had been discussing constantly about the money, about how she didn't realize I was genuinely talented, how she could have possessed a piece worth thousands, about my new commission and gallery interest. I thanked Lindsay for her honesty and ended the call. That informed me everything I needed to comprehend. 4 weeks after the separation, Chelsea showed up at my workshop unexpectedly. I was working on the commissioned piece for William. She walked in despite the closed sign on the entrance, started discussing how we needed to address our relationship. I set down my tools and told her she needed to depart. I was working. She noticed the piece I was constructing, the expensive wood, the detailed plans spread across my workbench. Her eyes widened. She asked if this was another commission. I confirmed it was. A $12,000 commission. She asked how many of those I was receiving. I told her that wasn't her concern anymore. She needed to leave. She changed approaches, said she'd been doing considerable thinking. She understood now what she'd forfeited, not just the relationship, but the opportunity to be with someone whose work was being acknowledged. She could support my career now. She understood the worth of what I accomplished. I asked her the same question I'd asked Lindsay. Did she understand the worth before the price tag or after? She struggled with that, kept attempting to say it wasn't about the money. But everything she'd mentioned revolved around recognition and commissions and gallery representation. Nothing about me, nothing about us, just about what my work was becoming. I told her we were finished. Completely. She needed to stop appearing at my workshop. She started crying, genuine tears this time, said she loved me, that she'd made a mistake, but people make mistakes. I couldn't just discard 3 years. I reminded her that she discarded 3 months of my work without a second thought, called it trash, laughed about it to her friends. Now she wanted me to believe she loved me. She loved the concept of being with someone whose work sold for thousands. That wasn't the same thing. She attempted to embrace me. I stepped back, told her I'd drop off the last of her belongings at Lindsay's place this weekend. We were finished talking. She needed to leave now. She finally departed. I watched her vehicle disappear down the street and felt nothing except relief. 6 weeks after the separation, I completed William's commission. He flew back out to examine it, invested an hour inspecting every element. He was delighted. Paid the balance immediately, then asked if I'd be interested in producing 2 more pieces, smaller scale, 8,000 each. His friends had witnessed the jewelry box and desired similar work. I accepted. This was becoming genuine, sustainable. I raised my rates, started being more selective about commissions, concentrated on pieces that challenged me. That advanced my abilities. 2 months post-separation, a local arts publication contacted me. They were doing a feature on emerging artisans in the region. Helen had suggested me. They wanted to conduct an interview and photo shoot. I agreed. The article published a month later. Large spread, photos of me in my workshop, pictures of several pieces, including the jewelry box. William had granted them authorization to photograph it. The article discussed my transition from corporate work to artisan, referenced the expanding gallery representation, the commissioned work, the waiting list I now maintained. My phone exploded with inquiries. 4 new galleries wanted to discuss, 8 commission requests, 2 more interview requests from larger publications. My website traffic crashed from the volume. I had to upgrade my hosting plan. Chelsea sent me a link to the article. Just typed one word, wow. I didn't respond. 3 months after the separation, I encountered Chelsea at a restaurant. I was there with Helen and a potential client, business dinner. Chelsea was with some guy I didn't recognize, younger than me, suit and tie. She noticed me immediately. I gave her a courteous nod and turned back to my conversation. I observed her from the corner of my eye though. She kept glancing over, conversing with her date but watching me. At one point she excused herself, headed toward the restrooms. I needed to use the restroom myself. When I walked down the corridor, she was waiting, asked how I was doing. I said I was fine, business was fine. She said she'd seen the article, was happy for me, proud even. I thanked her and tried to walk past. She blocked my path slightly. Said she'd been seeing someone new but it wasn't serious. She still thought about me, about us. Wondered if there was any chance we could talk, really talk. I told her I was pleased she was moving on. I had too. She asked if I was seeing someone. I told her that wasn't relevant. What was relevant was that I'd learned something important from our relationship. I'd learned not to disregard warning signs. Not to remain with someone who didn't respect my work or my time. She'd taught me that lesson clearly. I was grateful. Her face fell. She asked if I'd ever forgive her. I said there was nothing to forgive. She'd shown me precisely who she was. I believed her. Now we'd both moved on. I wished her well. I walked past her to the restroom. When I came back out, she was gone. Her date was sitting alone looking puzzled. I returned to my table and closed a $15,000 commission with my potential client. 4 months after the separation, I opened my own studio space, small location, combination workshop and gallery. Helen helped me establish it, provided me guidance on layout, lighting, display. She'd become a genuine friend and mentor through all of this. The opening night was active, sold 3 pieces, secured 5 new commissions. My parents attended, my sister. Real friends who'd supported me through the career transition years ago. Chelsea showed up. I saw her outside through the window. She was dressed up, looked like she'd invested real effort into it. She stood there for about 10 minutes just observing through the glass, never entered. Eventually she departed. That was 5 months ago. Haven't heard from her since. My business is flourishing. The commissioned work keeps arriving. William became a regular client. His network of collector friends has kept me reserved solid for the next 8 months. I've raised my prices twice. Still can't keep up with demand. I've been seeing someone new for the last 6 weeks. Her name is Sophia. She's a librarian, understands nothing about woodworking but asks questions because she's genuinely curious. Wants to comprehend what I do and why I love it. She came to my studio 2 weeks ago, invested an afternoon just observing me work, said it was meditative, peaceful. She enjoyed witnessing something beautiful get created from raw materials. When I gave her a small wooden bookmark I'd crafted, she cried, said it was the most thoughtful gift she'd ever received. She carries it in her purse, shows it to people, not because it's worth money. Because someone made it specifically for her. That's the difference. That's what I was searching for all along. The jewelry box lives in William's private collection now. He sends me photos occasionally, keeps it in his study, uses it to store his late wife's jewelry, says it makes him think of permanence, of things constructed to endure, of the value in craftsmanship. Chelsea reached out one final time, 6 months after everything ended. Long email, apologized for everything. Said she'd matured as a person. She understood now what she'd forfeited, not the money or the status, but me, the relationship, the future we could have built together. She'd been shallow and materialistic. She'd changed. Would I consider meeting for coffee just to talk? No expectations. I read the email twice, then I deleted it. Some things can't be repaired, some bridges burn completely. She threw away something valuable because she couldn't see past the surface. Because it didn't have a brand name or originate from the right store. That informed me everything about her values, about her character. Maybe she'd changed, maybe she hadn't. Either way, it didn't matter anymore. I was constructing something here, a life, a career, a reputation. Every piece I create signifies something, takes time, takes care, takes genuine expertise. The right person appreciates that, values it, treasures it, comprehends that significance isn't discovered in price tags and brand labels. It's discovered in the hours invested, the attention to detail, the care taken, the love poured into creation. Chelsea wasn't that person. She proved it the moment the box struck the trash. And that $10,000 price tag, that was just confirmation of what I already understood. The real worth was always there. She just couldn't perceive it, couldn't appreciate it, couldn't recognize it for what it was. I can though, and so can the people who matter. Sophia sees it, William sees it, Helen sees it, the collectors who commissioned my work see it, the galleries who represent me see it. That's enough, that's everything.